Chapter 26. Next time you almost kill a counselor, can I be there? Keith asked as he tossed a handful of gold powder on the path leading to the main auditorium. Lady Cadence had given them something called musk tang and told them to coat every walkaway on the campus. It wouldn't have been such a terrible detention punishment if it hadn't smelled like rotting bananas. Keith told her the whole sanctuary had been dusted with it. Another protection against oaks. I didn't almost kill him, she whispered, glancing over her shoulder to make sure none of the other prodigies were around. I don't know what happened, and neither did Bronte or Kendrick. 1 second he was insulting me, next second he was collapsed on the floor. Clearly it's not a good idea to get you angry. Should I be afraid? Keith asked as she glared at him. You're going to knock me out or something, are you? If only. She wanted to kick herself for telling Keith what had happened, but she'd had to tell someone. The more she'd replayed the session, the more she felt a nagging itch in the back of her mind, telling her something was off. Besides, it wasn't the anger that took him down. That was actually how I got him out of it. Which seems weird, doesn't it? I mean, he was basically allergic to happiness. You met Bronte, right? I know, but I've been in some messed up minds, and I've never felt anything like that sludgy darkness I felt today. Maybe that's what an inflictor's mind feels like. I mean, no offense, but what you guys do is kinda creepy. Sophie couldn't argue. If she had her way, she'd probably get rid of the dangerous ability. But talents couldn't be switched off once they'd been triggered. And creepy ability or no, she still didn't think that explained what had happened. Especially when she factored in the way Bronte's mind had blocked her from his memories. Almost like he had something to hide. You're cute when you worry. Did you know that? Keith asked her. Sophie flung a handful of musk tang at his feet, surrounding him in a cloud of stinky golden dust. He laughed as he coughed. Oh, it is so on! He pelted her with a giant handful, and Sophie struck back, nailing him in the shoulder before she took off running. Keith chased after her, hurling handful after handful as Sophie tried to swerve and duck. She was so busy launching counterattacks that she forgot to pay attention to where she was going. Which was how she ended up crashing into Lady Cadence seconds before Keith accidentally mustanged the furious mentor's face. Don't let her get to you, Foster, Keith said as they made their way to the afternoon sessions. Lady Cadence can send as many disciplinary reports to Dame Alina as she wants. It still won't change the fact that watching her choke on that mouthful of musk tang was one of the greatest moments of my life. It had been pretty priceless. And the disciplinary report wasn't what was bothering Sophie, though she wasn't exactly thrilled about that. Lady Cadence had gone on about how, given the controversy surrounding Finton's healing, Sophie should be working harder than ever to prove herself a well-behaved citizen in her world. But what Sophie wanted to know was, how did everyone know so many classified things? The information had to be leaking from someone in the nobility, and a lot of the things people had heard about were things only the counselors would know. What if Bronte is the one leaking secret information from the council? She whispered. That would explain why he didn't want me to look through his memories. But why would he do that? He's just causing more problems for himself. Maybe not. He also told me today that he didn't vote in favor of Finton's healing. So maybe he's trying to stop it by getting the public all riled up against it. I guess, but it still feels like a stretch. Bronte is the longest standing member of the council. By a lot. I can't see him doing anything to undermine it. Sophie sighed. I wish there was some way to find out for sure. Oh, what are we... If you're thinking breaking into his office, Keith interrupted, you should know that the crystal castles are impossible to sneak into. Trust me, I've tried several times when I was a kid. I wasn't going to suggest breaking and entering, but you're an empath, right? And empaths can detect lies. Only sort of. Lies aren't an emotion. All I can pick up on are feelings that go with it, like the guilt and the stress and the worry. If someone's a good enough liar, they know how to hide that. I've pulled it off with my dad many times. Well, still, couldn't you test Bronte and see how he reacts? Maybe, but it's not like I have a weekly counselor hangout time, and even if I did, as soon as I asked about the leak, he'd know what I was doing. He was right. Bronte was far too grumpy and suspicious not to catch on, but he was also hiding something. She could feel it. There had to be a way to figure out what it was. Sophie came home to find her bedroom covered in boxes, each wrapped in opalescent paper and tied with a sparkling pink bow. I know you're not that into clothes and dresses, Adeline said, popping out of Sophie's closet, carrying more boxes, and nearly giving Sophie a heart attack. But I realized that we've never gone shopping together, and I've never really bought you anything, so ta-da! She tried to set her boxes down, but there was no more empty space. I might have gotten a little carried away. Little was putting it mildly. Sophie doubted the stores in Atlantis had anything left to sell, and she was pretty sure this was leftover guilt from Adeline giving Biana Jolie's clothes. But it was nice of Adeline to think of her. Well, aren't you going to open them? Adeline asked, grabbing a wide rectangular package from the top of the nearest pile. Start with this one. It's my favorite. Her enthusiasm was infectious, but Sophie couldn't help smiling as she untied the glittering ribbon. Pink sparkles stuck to her fingers as she pulled open the box to find a sea of wispy lavender chiffon, covered in diamonds and pearls. Isn't it gorgeous? Adeline asked. Most of the things I got are a bit simpler than this, since I know that's more of your style. But I wanted to I wanted you to have at least one special dress. And this one just reminded me so much of you. Hold it up. Let's see if I guess the right size. Adeline showered the floor with glitter as she pulled out the dress and held it against Sophie's shoulders. Sophie repressed a sigh when she realized it had a train, as if she didn't have a hard enough time walking without tripping. Adeline gasped. The color with your hair! You look so much. She didn't finish the sentence, but Sophie knew how it ended. You look so much like Jolie. Lady Reuben, one of the gnomes, called from downstairs, saving Sophie from having to figure out a reply. The new Verminon tunneled out of its pen again. I'm dreaming of the day those obnoxious creatures are ready for the sanctuary, Adeline told Sophie, wiping pink glitter off her hands. I'll be back as soon as I can. In the meantime, why don't you try that on and see how it fits? Sure, Sophie said, not finding the idea nearly as exciting as Adeline seemed to. But there was something she wanted to see. The lightweight fabric felt cool against her skin, and it swished and swirled with every step as she made her way to the floor-length mirror. Wow, Bertina said as she appeared in the corner. You look so pretty. Oh, please. You don't have to sound so surprised, Sophie grumbled. Oh, please, you wear dull colors and never do anything with your hair. And don't get me started on your desperate need for lip gloss. And Sophie stepped out of range, making tiny face disappear. She counted to 10, then stepped back in front of the mirror. Just because I'm a gadget doesn't give you the right to flick me on and off at will, Bertina huffed. Julie would have never treated me that way. You may look like her, but... Do you really think I look like her? Sophie interrupted, squinting at her reflection. That's what she kept trying to figure out. What did Adeline see? Was there really a similarity? Or was it Adeline's wishful thinking? Well, it's not like you're twins or anything, Bertina told her. Julie's hair was shinier than yours, and she had the most gorgeous turquoise eyes. Unlike your weird ones, you do remind me of her. If I didn't know better, I think you two were related. The word felt like a spark, igniting the firestorm of panic that had already been brewing in Sophie's stomach. If Jolie had been working with the Black Swan, could she have been a part of Project Moonlark? And if so, could she be Sophie's mother?